Hey everyone, I'm TommyNaysh,
I'm Gigabit Gaming.
and this is the Guest Podcast where we talk about gaming, esports, streaming, and technology. We got a hot lineup today. We got some gaming news, a lot of gaming news, I should say. Some pretty big esports news, and then we got some streaming and tech to throw in there as well. How are you doing today, Giga?
Oh man, can't complain. Stuff's going pretty good.
Hell yeah! I do want to say just an update from last week's podcast. I did secure the PS5 pre-order since then. So I can't be any more excited. I got the PS5 and the Series X. Spending over $1,000. Let's not talk about that.
Ay, ay, ay.
But we got them both. We got them both.
I can't complain. Like I just spent 800 plus on a new monitor. Fuck. Mwah. And I'm buying
That
a
is
3080 soon, so
that is crazy when you think about it. That new monitor was $800. But I mean, you're also talking Canadian, so I feel
honestly
like that
G7, but
monitor
I
is
mean
probably like 600 US or something like that.
it's one of the most high end ones Samsung makes. They have a G9, and that's like I think 30. No, it might be 39 inch, and it's ultra wide. So that's
Yeah.
like crazy. Like, I couldn't fit that on my desk. Realistically, it's already a little cramped now, and a bigger desk would be nice. But overall, yeah, I'm
So what
happy.
do you what do you think about that monitor that you got?
Dude, the colors are perfect, and I like if I go into the menu, it shows
Mhm.
me a calibration report because every monitor at the factory, someone individually calibrates it with a tool. So they
Oh, that's
put this
pretty
tool
cool.
on the screen, they run the software, and then the guy will go through and he'll calibrate it to the best he can. Because not every panel is identical quality, but on these
Mhm.
higher end ones, they're normally pretty close. And then they'll put the score inside the monitor, like they load it into the firmware. And now I can look at my calibration report, and it's actually really good on colors. And 240 hertz, I was a little skeptical. I was like, oh, am I really going to notice anything from 144 to 240? Yeah, you definitely notice it. And not just that, but my old panel being a Viotech, cheaper 1440p 27-inch 144 hertz monitor.
Yeah.
On those older panels with less good panel tech, you get a lot of what's called ghosting and smearing on fast moving objects. So even though you're at 144 FPS and 144 hertz, when you move quickly, you get like a smearing effect on the object. So even though
Okay.
like if it moves here and moves here, it looks smooth. There's kind of like almost like a trail behind the item, like or the object that you're talking about. But on this panel and on any other higher end panels, OLED tech is very good. This is Samsung's QLED tech. It's
Mhm.
it's also very good for this, where you have like almost no or like no perceivable ghosting at all. So
Okay.
when something does move, there's none of that like image effect still on the backside. It's just completely gone, and it's way smoother. And I'm still dog shit at all games, but this monitor can't improve
So
my flicks.
so you're basically talking about motion blur without the motion blur enabled
Yeah,
with
it's
the
it's almost
smearing
like that,
type
but
thing.
but motion blur looks clean. This looks
Okay.
like a mess. Like
Mhm.
it's really smeary. It shouldn't be like that.
I got you. So I rock a BenQ. It's a 144 hertz
Yeah,
monitor.
those
It's an
BenQ ones are nice.
XL 2411P.
There's no way.
Um,
I'm looking at my other monitor here. It's an XL 2411, like my side monitor.
really?
Yeah, no joke. That's
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 funny.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, this was like BenQ by like Zowie. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if BenQ and Zowie just kind of merged together or what.
Zowie owns BenQ.
Oh, okay. Okay. I had no clue. It's
I'm
like
pretty sure, at least.
Zowie just kind of appeared out of nowhere. They
Yeah,
started including that in their brand.
BenQ makes really high end stuff. Samsung obviously makes high end stuff. Asus makes high end stuff. MSI, kind of there, not really though. And a few other brands are catching up slowly, but they're there.
Yeah, so my other monitor is a Samsung. It's a 4K monitor, but I don't really know the what model it's called. I basically got it because it was a 4K monitor and it was on sale.
Yeah,
And I just wanted to kind of experience 4K a little bit through the monitor.
I'm very
I haven't
happy
really
with
gamed on it
1440p.
much, but
I really do like 1440p. It looks smooth, and it's
mhm.
good for gaming, and it's not nearly as taxing as 4K. And I like the fact that I can still run a high refresh rate, like 240 hertz on it. Because
Yeah,
right now, I don't think you can do 4K 240. You can do 4K 144, but not 240. And yeah, 240, you don't need it, no. But it's this monitor is
240
really
is
nice,
crazy.
so yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into this is episode 5. So this is the first episode of October. As you can tell behind me, it's spooky season.
I got nothing.
Um, he's got the green screen. He doesn't need to decorate. That's a big pro on his side. But for me, I'm playing scary games and stuff, so I figured I'd decorate the behind me a little bit. And whatchamacallit, try to get into the season a little bit. But so we're gonna start on the gaming news topic. Right now, we're gonna talk about the PS5 storage rumors. Um, so over the past week, there were some YouTube influencers that were able to go overseas to test out the PS5, and what one of them found was, I'll just say it right here, a new leaked image that was first published to Resetera, if I'm saying that correctly, indicates that a fresh PS5 may only have 664 gigabytes available to users. So they advertise, what is it, 825 gigabytes of storage, and that makes you think like, oh, so it's a terabyte, but we're saying with our OS installed on it and everything, it'd be 825. Apparently, that's not the case.
I
It's 825, and then the OS and everything installed onto it.
I have a theory that that might not be, like, since it's not done yet, right? That there
Mhm.
might be extra space on it that will be, you know, changed on launch, and as well as people don't realize, and a lot of people haven't watched Mark Cerny's tech demo when they first kind of, you know, announced the PS5 during this tech demo, and that's okay if you didn't watch it, and it was really technical, so a lot of people didn't understand it either, but he had mentioned that due to changes in the architecture with the SSDs, and they don't have, and developers won't have to use redundant data. So on hard
Yeah.
drives, because of how long it takes for the needle to spin around, they actually would put the same data on different parts of the platter. So as the drive's moving, it can load these textures quickly, so you don't notice this pop in. So they'd actually have the same texture on your hard drive multiple times. But
Okay.
now, because the SSD is so fast, you'd only need one copy of that texture, or, you know, maybe two, let's say. So way less extra stuff. So your games are actually going to be way smaller now, and because of how fast the SSD is and new enhanced compression techniques, they can compress the game way further than they ever could before and still load it way faster than they ever could before. So I think it might be the case of, yeah, let's hypothetically agree with this rumor and say it is 664. Well, if every game averages, instead of 50 gig, 25, you know, that's a pretty big
It
deal.
would make sense, yeah.
And I do think that, well, this compression tech and all this less redundant data was probably going to be filled in with some extra stuff because developers now can push the horsepower more. I still think games are going to be smaller. And I see a lot of people throwing Warzone as an example, like, oh, Modern Warfare is, you can't even fit it on a 250 gig SSD anymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. But when you look at Modern Warfare on PC and then you look at it on Xbox, it's significantly smaller. And then from Xbox to PS4, it's even smaller because of the
Mhm.
ways that these different consoles handle the storage. So
Yep.
I think that people might be freaking out a little much about, you know, 664 gigs or 700 gigs. And I did say that a couple weeks ago that 500 on the Series S might not be enough. I, we have to see. And it might be enough and it might not be enough. But I really hope it's not just 664. But on the bright side, they don't have the same proprietary stuff. So you could just plug in any old cheap hard drive and copy and move your games over. And really, personally, I think that's a good option. Like a 2 terabyte Seagate Barracuda is like 45 US dollars. Like, and an enclosure's,
45.
yeah, they're like so cheap. They're like 60 something Canadian, like a
Oh,
2
sure.
terabyte Barracuda. So
So, so the PS5 storage, they don't need to be on like the proprietary like Xbox drives that they made, right?
no,
They can
no,
just use.
you can put anything, but obviously you'll have to move the game from hard drive to SSD, and
Yeah.
if that process takes a while on a hard drive, I would suggest buying a cheap SSD. Like, it doesn't have to be fast, man. But even the worst SSD beats out the best hard drive. You know what I'm saying? So,
That's true.
you know, just, you know, if you can get a 1 terabyte drive for cheap and plug in it as an external SSD, and then just move your games to and from, that might be a worthwhile investment. And you know, that might be the same thing with the Series S. We'll have to see. And the Series S is cheaper, and 500 gigs of storage versus, well, they say 500 gig now. Keep in mind, when the Xbox OS and Windows 10 or whatever is loaded onto it, that's not going to be 500.
Yeah.
We got to keep this in mind
That's a
too,
good point. That's a good point.
that we don't know the exact storage of the Xbox Series S or X right now. Like we know
Hmm.
what's in it, but we don't know how much the OS takes. And Windows 10 on my system at least is 30 plus gig, so it might be even more on the console because it's a completely different thing. So
Yes, like we're definitely just gonna have to wait and see for the PS5 storage rumors. I mean, with being 664, yeah, that's like 136 gigabytes less than, or more than that, than they advertised.
yeah,
But we're just gonna have to wait and see. And speaking of Xbox, people were able to get their hands on um, the Xbox Series X to review, and I was actually reading an article by Tom Warren from The Verge, who actually got his hands on one and wrote an article about it. And his first paragraph says, "I've spent the past week with an Xbox Series X in my living room. I've played a variety of games on the preview unit, testing loading times, performance, and some of the new Series X features. I switched back to an older Xbox One X briefly during testing, and it was like going from cable internet back to the days of a 56K modem. That's how much the Xbox Series X improves the game you already play every day. Everything just feels better." That right there is already a very positive sign for the Xbox Series X. And I know that these reviews have basically just been backwards compatible games and nothing coming out that has been tested on these Xboxes,
yeah.
but we're still looking up, and Microsoft all of a sudden is starting to gain some traction over Sony.
Yeah, I think the big thing is they're just getting the news out first, right? And
Hmm.
it's not like these games won't be able to be played on the PS5 either. And I'm sure the same thing is going to be said. Like, oh yeah, it's way better than the PS4. Like, obviously, you just on paper it's way better. Of course, it's going to play better. And I don't think, in my mind at least, it's obvious that the old stuff that already exists is going to perform better. Like if I plug a 3080 into my computer, obviously all the games I play now are going to perform better.
Oh yeah.
It's the new stuff that I'm excited about. Like
Hmm.
how amazing is this new game going to be at this 4K 60 FPS with these crazy loading times? And we do have the load times here, and some of them aren't too drastic. Like COD Warzone on the Series X is 16 seconds, and on the Xbox One X is 21 seconds, and that's not a crazy big deal. But then you look at the Outer Worlds on a Series X being 6 seconds compared to the Xbox One X of 27 seconds. Like that's like night and day. It's like 4 times faster.
Yeah, there's some games improved by over a minute, including Destiny 2, which loaded on the Series X for in 43 seconds compared to the Xbox One X at a minute and 52 seconds. So that's a drastic increase.
And some of that could be internet related too, right? Like Destiny 2 is an online game, right? So you might have a bit of an extra bottleneck using your internet speed or whatever, but I mean, like even games like Warframe is huge. A minute 31 on the Xbox One X, 25 seconds on the Series X. Like that
Yeah.
is an insanely quick like difference.
I don't remember waiting like this long to play the game, you know.
I've played
but
Warframe, yeah, and
but
I'm like, I don't
but
remember that either.
just the fact that these load times are cut in half or more in some situations, it's just like, yeah, you're going to be playing pretty quickly. There was three testing areas that they were allowed to provide reviews for on the Xbox Series X, and that was backward compatible games, the load times, which we just spoke about, and also the quicker zoom feature. So the backwards compatible games, people were going back and playing like Destiny 2 and Sea of Thieves and such. And everyone was saying, if I mean, which it should, games were feeling a lot smoother, frame rates were increasing, and menus and character screens were loading a lot quicker. So, I mean, as expected, yes, this should be happening. But, I mean, we have physical proof that it is happening. And that's one of the things that's just going to help, especially like you said, Sony's not really putting out too much news right now, and Xbox is getting ahead of it. But one of the things is, what else does Xbox got to do? Like, they don't have any exclusives, so they got to like focus on what their backwards compatibility
Yeah.
and all the other features right now, and provide some good details about that.
I like when you
to try to
mentioned
reel people in.
the faster character load. Like in games like Destiny 2, for example, nothing takes me out of the immersion more than when I click the menu and I'm watching and my character isn't loaded in yet and a couple of item menus haven't loaded in yet and you're waiting and you're
Hmm.
looking and you're looking and you're looking and it finally comes in. And if you go into your menu 30 times in 3 hours of play, that's a lot of waiting, dude.
It
Like
is.
that's a lot of time where you're just sitting there waiting for something to happen. And to remove that, like that's going to make your quality of life go up so much. Like all these things that like we're about to take for granted that are about to come out. Like no more waiting for this to load. Just it's just gone. There's no more of this load time anymore. It's just I click the button and the thing happens and it's done. It's not click this and watch this thing spin in the middle of my screen and then it'll come up. It'll just be gone. And I think that change alone is almost worth a brand new generation. Like ignoring 4K and ignoring everything else, just not having to wait for those small things that you do dozens of times a session, that is
Hmm.
night and day in my mind.
Yeah, so actually when he was loading into the character screen for Destiny 2, it actually take like 5 seconds on the Xbox One X. But Series X instant. Like you hit the
Oh
start
yeah,
button,
it's right
it
there.
instantly pops up character screen and everything. So I mean, you can tell the power's definitely there.
You can tell this a lot in games that are from console, like PS3 especially, and Xbox 360, and then get made on PC. Dead Space 3 is a huge example. It uses elevators as loading screens, but on PC, like the elevator ride might be 15, 20, 30 seconds on console. On PC, you hop in the elevator and you hit where you want to go, and you're there in like 3 seconds. And you're like, this is the fastest elevator ride of my life because it's just so quick.
It's actually crazy how some games put loading screens in. Uh, for example, Last of Us Part 2, every time you had to squeeze through a wall, that was basically dumping where you were and adding
Yeah, yeah.
the new location that you're going into.
And
And that's a nice way to throw like a loading transition into the game. But when you're squeezing through freaking 500 cracks, you're like, all right, I'm kind of sick of doing this. But at that point, you can kind of pick up like, okay, this is like a new part of the game. Like this is a new area. Got to squeeze through here, see what's up.
yeah.
Same with Ghost of Tsushima. There's actually like a lot of squeeze cracks that you have to go through, and um, just kind of shows that that's one of the best ways to load the game up is by have your character interact by doing something, and while you think you're still doing it and you're in the game, it's actually just loading up the next part of the game
It's
for
way
you.
better than flashing a black screen and watching a little load thing come up and then it'll go
Hmm.
to your next scene. Like way better.
Exactly. So one of the other things that Xbox decided to test, or Xbox was allowing people to test, was the quicker zoom feature. And this was something that was available on the Xbox One, but it never really worked like it was intended to. The Xbox Series X utilizes the SSD that they have, so it allows you to swap between multiple games freely, and it takes around 5 seconds. This reviewer said to resume games where you left off, and he was able to switch between 5 different games at any time, very easily. So that's a pretty cool feature. You can stop playing one game, go to another, and then when you're done playing that and you want to go back, you're right where you were.
I understand the ability to do it is cool, but how practical is it? Like how often do you boot up your console and you got 5 games you're playing right now that you need to swap between in like 5 seconds? Like you normally just boot it up, play your game, and then turn it off. It's cool that it exists, and I like that you
Mhm.
can do it. I just don't think it's like, oh, this new quick resume is night and day amazing. It's gonna blow your mind because most people won't really do it.
It's it's more of a like a feature than anything else. It's just like, hey, look what we can do. Have fun with it. I hope it helps
Because on
you.
the
I hope it.
PS4 you can have a game and then open like YouTube, and then if you double tap the PlayStation button, you go back to your game, and there's a couple seconds load and it resumes or whatever, and
Yeah.
that's always been pretty fast, and I've liked that. I'm like, oh, I can just. It was really good if you didn't have a computer near you and you were trying to like watch like a walkthrough for like secrets or something in a game. Because then you can just double tap, look at the video, and then go back. And then I think they even have a newer feature for that now. in in their trophies thing or something now, but like you can look at a guide online through their trophy selection screen, I think, but
Huh.
I'm not sure. I haven't used it in a while, so
Yeah, I'm not quite sure either. Um, I was just playing PlayStation the other day too. Ended up platining. I got the platinum trophy for Spider-Man, so I'm ready for Miles Morales to come out. That's the only game I did pre-order for the PS5, by the way.
I don't
Miles Morales. So
don't
I'm
pre-order, but
excited for
I pre-ordered Sam. It was the worst mistake of my life.
that. So yeah, I mean, Xbox Series X is looking to be quite the console, and from the information we have, everything seems to be pretty positive. Um, Besides that, we can hop on over to Apex. They just came
Crossplay.
out with their crossplay today.
Yeah. So crossplay being one of their most suggested features of Apex has finally come live today. It's considered to be still in a beta stage right now, but players will have full access to cross-platform play while they access and collect data. PS4, Xbox One, and Origin and Steam once the game's on there. Can search for a player using the Find a Friend feature on any platform, and they're also doing a limited time event which is launched with the crossplay, which brings 24 themed and limited time cosmetics for people to collect. So that's a really good thing to bring people into the game, limited time events and stuff. But I think
Yeah,
this crossplay is going to be pretty big. Like if you have a game like Apex where the overall average player count isn't that high, it used to be really good, but it's gotten a lot less now.
yeah.
Making it so they can all play together really does help boost that player count up and make the game seem like it's more popular than it might otherwise be without the crossplay.
Yeah, so I don't know if they take the stand of this is we're not going to divide by players by platform now. We're just going to divide by how many players we have total.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, hey, if someone wanted to play with their friend a long time ago, but they were never able to, so they just stopped playing, and then all of a sudden they can play with their friend, I mean, that's going to bolster the player count up either way.
Well, yeah, like if I'm on PC and my buddy's on PS4, and I'm like, oh, it sucks we can't play Apex together. Like we probably won't play it as much as if we could
Mhm.
play it together. So by allowing this, you're getting those same people that otherwise wouldn't play because they can't play together to play now because they can team up.
Exactly. Yep. It's definitely crossplay needs to be more of a universal thing now. I feel like most games. I mean, I remember when crossplay wasn't a thing. I think Rocket League and Fortnite were the first games to have crossplay, and ever since then, it's kind of been taking off a lot more. I could be. I definitely think it's Rocket League was one of the first games that allowed, like, at least in between, like, Xbox and PC or PS4 and Xbox. I forget exactly. Um, but hey, crossplay is starting to become a bigger thing, and I would expect to see more future multiplayer titles to have crossplay no matter what at this time.
I think Modern Warfare 2, in my mind, was the game that taught developers how to not divide your community. Because when Modern Warfare 2 came out with DLC map packs that you had to buy, it became, oh, well, I can't play with you. You have the map pack, and we're searching in now. Like, Modern Warfare 2 did it so poorly. If we got into a game and I didn't have the map pack, I'd still load in. The game would load me in. I'd see what map we're playing on, and I
Yeah.
don't own it, and then it would kick me back out to the lobby. And it's like, man, I literally have to buy these maps now to play the game because when I searched, it would search me for everything, even if I had it or not. And,
Hmm.
and and that's when a lot of maps afterwards became free for multiplayer, and zombies and stuff you still have to pay for or whatever. But that, in my mind, was a really good example of how to divide your community up in a really poor way. And now it's most maps and updates are free, in most games. Now it's, well, we're still divided because he's on Xbox and he's on PlayStation and he's on PC, whatever he she, and so it's like, well, we got to get rid of that divide too, because we need everyone to play, and that's what also things like Stadia are trying to accomplish. Like, there's no more divide now. Like, oh, low end PC, no problem, pal. You just pay this, and now you have a high end PC and you can play with your buddies. And it's like, man, that's awesome. Like, I love that. And once these things get more developed, I think it'll become like a standard. Like it won't just be crossplay on that game and that game. It'll be crossplay in every game.
Yeah. I'm I know for Cold War they announced this is going to be one of the first games with cross-platform, cross-generation gameplay.
Yeah.
So Xbox One can play with Xbox Series X or PS5 and vice versa.
I like
So
that, but I also worry a little about you already have PC players at a competitive advantage. Now you're going to have the Series X players at 120 FPS with a competitive advantage versus the old like Xbox One
yeah,
X or whatever.
I do understand completely where you're coming from. That being said, Cold War beta is this weekend. Um, I was playing on the PS4 when the alpha came out, and the game did run extremely well. Didn't seem to be any problems or anything, but like you said, there's still going to be the FPS advantage. Maybe even a Series X and PS5 might have some other graphical options that they can adjust or whatnot.
FOV
But
being a big one.
yeah,
FOV is huge.
exactly, and that's why for all tournaments for Cold War, they're switching over to PC with controller. So they'll be able to, I guess, adjust their settings how they want to.
Yeah.
I don't know if there'll be like a standard FP or FOV
There'll
that
probably be
these
like a
competitors will
there'll
play
probably be
with.
like a pro league setting. Like you have to like in Siege for example, it's like everyone has to play in these settings. Now go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I could definitely see that happening, and guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Xbox One and PS4 is definitely going to have the biggest disadvantage no matter what. But yep, a new Smash character.
Big news,
Um,
big news.
for those Smash Brothers Ultimate fans, we
Hmm.
got Minecraft Steve and Alex being introduced to the roster. And so Minecraft Steve and Alex have 3 different skins each that you can choose from. And then you can also play as the zombie or an Enderman. Um, for this character, you'll be able to harvest materials from walls and ground to craft upgrades. And it's the second DLC character from Fighter Pass Volume 2. They finally got Minecraft in the Smash Bros. Roster, and it's big news. I know a lot of people were excited about it, but then there are also people that are like, I don't care. I didn't want this guy. I wanted this guy, you know?
I think I follow a fair bit of people like in the Smash community, and as well as I follow Scrub Quotes on Twitter, and they're primarily quotes from scrubs who play fighting games. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of good quotes in there. Really funny Twitter. If you haven't checked that out, you should. But anyways, there's a lot of people that seem to think that the new characters are going to be very strong and that they're going to do a lot of damage. Their abilities look crazy. Like I think Steve's like ultimate or whatever, you go into like the other like the Ender realm or whatever, and then you get
Yeah.
blown up by a creeper or something like that. And anyways, it sounds cool, but it also sounds really strong, and we'll have to see how it goes. But I think I think adding characters from another game is a right step in the direction.
Yeah, I mean, if your game is on Nintendo, there's a chance that a character can be introduced in the Smash Bros. At this point. And Minecraft has been on the Switch for some time now, so they're like, hey, let's bring Minecraft Steve in here. We're able to.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I think it's a good thing.
I have Smash Ultimate. I honestly haven't played it enough to really get any of the DLC characters. But I do enjoy playing it. Haven't played it in a long time, but it's a great game, and I know for those hardcore fans out there, they're going to be excited about this new character to come out.
Yeah, I don't really have much of an investment as a player myself, but I think finding the stuff on Twitter is pretty funny when people get mad or people are saying stuff. So that's my take on it, at least.
So what do we got going on here? The a launcher with other launchers.
Yeah, so GOG has been putting a lot of games on their platform from other platforms, so you can kind of just use GOG as like an all-in-one launcher. Now they have some select games from Epic Games Store on there, and the reason why this is a big deal is because the Epic Games refund policy is 14 days and only like 2 hours, I think, of playtime allowed. whereas GOG's refund is 30 days, unlimited time played allowed.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
so at that point, I'm not sure if you can like buy the game and then play it and then refund it and not have a valid reason, but
Hmm.
I'm not too sure, but that is a better refund policy for sure than Epic's, and GOG's trying to make it a little easier for people to just use their computer and use their games from different stores. And Steam has this feature, but it's not very good. Not very good.
So is GOG Galaxy? I know. Um, what was the thing about GOG? They allowed you to purchase games that weren't tied to
DRM free is what.
exactly DRM free. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So GOG allows you to buy games DRM free, so you can play them whenever you want. You don't need to be connected to a certain platform to play them.
Yeah, and you can copy the
Um,
files and put them on another computer, and it'll work just fine.
but now they're just making their own platform basically to throw all these games into one certain spot.
Yeah, they do still do the DRM stuff, and that's how I've purchased SWAT 4, and I really like it because when you buy from them, and if you ever have an issue, you just get the refund, right? And
Mhm.
it's a good spot to buy. I know there's not malware on it, and especially when you're looking for these older games, it's like, oh shit, dude, like I'm about to download this funky looking exe off this website. Like, what if there's a virus or something in it? But if it's on a legit store like GOG, then well, I'm okay then. I don't mind spending the $10 for the peace of mind. You know.
So there's a potential that GOG Galaxy can compete with things such as Epic Launcher and Steam at this point,
I'm not.
especially if it's sucking games from those platforms to be in one central platform.
Yeah, I don't know if like it's not like those games are off Steam or they're off Epic. They're
Mhm.
just they're just launching through GOG instead of through the other platforms, which is a cleaner experience. So
Yeah, that's kind of like Origin right now. I mean,
except
they're
Origin
they're not even
sucks.
going to be called Origin at this point, but isn't it just like the EA application or something like that? They're changing their name to.
The issue that I have with Origin or whatever they're calling it now is the application itself just sucks.
It is pretty
It's
bad.
slow. It's hard to get around.
Hmm.
Sometimes like games just seem like they're stuck downloading forever, or they're just doing nothing. Like I waited hours one time for some game that just said it was doing nothing, and I looked up the forums, and that was the fix to just wait. Like, why did I wait 4 hours for the launcher to do whatever it was doing before it finally downloaded my game? Like, what is that? It's
And
it's
then
I
they
don't like
throw
it.
their games onto Steam, and you install the game on Steam, you click the launch button, all it does loads up Origin, plays the game from Origin. It was the most frustrating experience of my life when I was trying to play Need for Speed on Steam
Oh yeah,
and it had to launch Origin. It kept giving me these stupid errors because it installed somewhere that it shouldn't installed to, and it just wasn't giving me any type of sense as to why it wasn't playing. It's just like, oh, Origin crash, Origin crash, Origin crash, and I had to like look into it to figure out what I was doing wrong.
it's very unintuitive. That's for sure.
Yeah, Origin launcher definitely sucks. Sucks a lot of balls.
Yeah, so we'll move on here. We got Fall Guys season 2. Fall Guys has died down a lot in popularity, but new season October 8th. That'll be tomorrow for you listeners. So that'll be Thursday.
Yeah,
The new season, yeah, and then they're currently doing to celebrate the new season, they're doing $100,000 prize pool, which is going to be hosted by YouTube Gaming. It's going to be live streamed on the official Fall Guys YouTube channel, and will feature streamers like, I'm going to butcher some of these, I'm sure. Christine, Courage. Is that how you say it, or do people go like Courage?
it's just courage.
Okay. It's Funny, Jerome ASF, Jazzy Guns, Creekcraft, and Log.zip.
I
Whatever.
don't really know any of them except for courage. Gonna
Yeah,
be honest with you.
same here. But anyways, they're gonna be doing that, and that'll be pretty cool. The new season has a theme, and it's gonna be around epic quests. So
Ooh.
you'll have like dragon skins, knights, Vikings, and wizards and witches as like costumes you can get. I believe, and I
Fantasy
think they're
World.
gonna. I think they're gonna redo the map a little to kind of give more like a. They didn't say Halloween theme, but that's kind of what it feels like. And
Yeah, yeah,
and
for
as
sure.
well a bit of slightly unrelated news to Fall Guys, but they do have a mobile Fall Guys that is being worked on in China, but no news on anywhere else in the world. So that's a little
Probably
unfortunate, but
Tencent.
yeah, probably.
Yep.
Are
Fall
you
Guys. Fall Guys season 2. Look forward to it tomorrow.
are you gonna
I'll
get back
probably
into it?
play it.
Yeah.
I'll probably play it for a day or two, and then I'll get bored again. But it's always worth coming back to. Fall Guys is a entertaining game, so to be able to play some new maps and stuff, I'm looking forward to at least giving it a shot.
I think it's a good game for a child. Like if you're under 12 and you hand a kid the controller, they'll pick up on the controls pretty fast and probably have some
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah, exactly. And it could grab some people's attention for a long time. Especially, I mean, being free on the PlayStation. If you have one of those, then there's probably a lot more people playing on PlayStation right now just because it was a free game. And hey, if they don't have many games to choose from, I'd be playing Fall Guys too. So
Yeah. So we got some unfortunate Ubisoft news here to discuss. PC Gamer has an article about 25% of Ubisoft employees have experienced or witnessed workplace misconduct. So in July, so a little while ago, multiple Ubisoft executives resigned from the company over allegations of widespread harassment and abuse at the company, including Vice President Maxime Belland and Chief Creative Officer Serge Hascoit, maybe, and and
that's quick.
and managing director of Ubisoft's Canadian studios Yanis Mallet and global head of human resources Cecil Cornett. One person who did not step down, however, is CEO. Oh man, how do you say that? Yves Guillemot? Guillemot?
Yves, I feel like.
Maybe.
Dude, we're butchering all these names just so you guys know. If you're trying to look these people up,
Good luck.
yeah, good luck because we're not saying them right at all.
So yeah, the CEO did not step down, however, and said that, and I quote, the other employees had betrayed the trust the CEO had put into them and vowed to bring profound changes to the company in order to make it a safe and inclusive workplace. So that's pretty crazy. A little more detail here is as part of that process of making it a more safe and inclusive workplace. Ubisoft engaged a third party research firm to conduct a company wide survey on employee experiences with misconduct. They got 14,000 results from this survey.
Mhm.
25% saw or experienced misconduct in the workplace. 20% of employees do not feel respected or safe. Women reported experiencing or seeing issues at a rate 30% higher than the average man, and non binary employees at a 43% rate higher than a man. Two
Wow.
thirds of employees who had issues and reported them felt that they got proper support. So that's a third of the people have experienced workplace misconduct do not feel that the issue was resolved properly. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's big. That's big. There's big news right there.
I'm happy that the CEO, whether it's to actually save face or if it's a good thing out of the bottom of the CEO's heart, and regardless, the action is what matters most, has done this survey to find out this information.
hmm
Now, now it's to change the workplace behavior and perhaps let go of employees that are causing problems.
Yeah, so like you said, it's definitely a good thing that they ran the survey, and I'm sure new policies and training measures will come into effect real soon, and uh, I mean, they're definitely going to get to the bottom of this and figure it out. Hopefully, I don't want to say that it's just going to disappear because it'll always be there, but hopefully they find a way to lessen the misconduct and harassment and abuse in the workplace. But yeah, that's crazy news, and I definitely feel
I,
bad for the people who are experiencing this harassment.
I think the big issue is in a workplace, and I've had numerous workplaces, nothing like how big Ubisoft is or anything, but
Mhm.
you get to a point where you allow your employees to feel too comfortable, and they think that they can get away with doing or saying anything they want because they've never seen anyone get any like disciplinary actions, so they assume they won't. Well, if you start actually cracking down, people will stop because at the end of the day, people want to keep their jobs. When you think in your head, oh, should I say this sexist thing I find funny, or would I rather be able to pay my rent? Like, what's the option that you're gonna pick? Like, obviously, you want to pay your bills and keep your job. So,
Yeah.
if you're gonna get punished for saying stupid stuff and doing stupid stuff, you're probably gonna stop doing it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I mean, besides Ubisoft, with this news, we also have Nintendo making was a significant arrest for piracy investigations.
Yeah, so this team, Team X, I think it's how you say it's Executor. They've been
Executor.
arrested. Nintendo has been in a long fight with multiple of these. It's almost weird. It's like a Pokemon thing that they call themselves teams. These hackers. Nintendo fights against the selling and reselling of jailbreaking devices for its range of hardware. So people will get a Switch, we'll say, and they'll jailbreak it to allow it to play pirated games, and then they'll resell it. Well, obviously, Nintendo
A no
hates
no.
this
Yeah.
because, for one, it's modification, illegal modification of their intellectual property, which is against the law for any company, and two, they lose money when someone buys a Switch that isn't a Nintendo official one. So yeah, these guys are going to jail for a long time. They have 11 charges total against them. More details hopefully will be announced shortly about it. But yes, they have gotten 3 of those members of that team, which I believe to be the entire team.
That being said, that's the gaming news that we have for right now. Do you think we should take a? Do you think that was like halfway mark? Take a break now, or do you think we should go through esports news as well?
Oh yeah, we can grind through this stuff pretty quick, man.
Okay. Yeah. So esports news. We got two major topics that are going on right now in esports. There's more. If you guys want us to talk about certain things, such as like League of Legends and such, we can talk about that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's definitely not our strong suit. So we're not going to inform too much on that at this moment. I do know that there's a whole League of Legends championship thing going on right now. And if you guys want us to talk more about it, we can. And we can learn more about that. But right now we got Hex. I don't know if you guys know Hex from Hector Rodriguez, who was he took over Optic. He took over Optic in 2007. He's looking to reacquire Optic Gaming from the Immortals Gaming Group. Um, Hector Rodriguez is reportedly set to reacquire Optic Gaming from Immortals in a blockbuster deal that would include the Optic IP and the Los Angeles Call of Duty League franchise slot.
I
Um,
was under the impression that this deal had already happened, but maybe I had read something wrong.
yes, so I think it's in the final stages, but I don't think it has
Okay.
happened at this moment. Hector took over Optic in 2007, grew to become one of the biggest brands in esports. You guys remember the Green Wall? I mean, Optic still does exist. It's a team for the Call of Duty League.
I think
Um,
Optic is probably the most famous team for esports, at least.
yeah, I mean, it definitely was at that point. I don't hear as much about Optic now as I did back in the day
But
when I was
like
a youngin.
if you were to ask one of your buddies, like, "Hey, do you know Optic?" They'd be like, "Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
Optic. I've heard of
yeah,
Optic. Yeah, oh yeah."
absolutely,
Like
absolutely.
100%. So they're definitely really popular. They just might not have. They're just not in the mainstream light anymore. You know what I mean?
Hmm. So Infinite Esports and Entertainment ending up acquiring Optic in 2007, and Hector
2017.
Rodriguez stayed on with the organization until 2019 when Infinite sold Optic to Immortals. After that split, I can't Rodriguez joined NRG as co-CEO in September 2019 and has been most active with the Chicago Huntsman CDL team. Um, In a report from the Esports Observer, talks between both parties have spanned for over a month, and the deal is pending league approval. ESPN has been able to confirm with sources that though the deal is not 100% finalized, it's in an advanced stage. So, I mean, Hector, I mean, he's basically the face of Optic besides Nadeshot back in the day. And I'm honestly happy that Hector is going to get Optic Gaming back into his hands.
I am more shocked that ESPN covers esports news so heavily.
Yeah, they honestly do. And that's one of the places I look to when I'm looking at esports news is ESPN honestly does a pretty darn good job of obtaining some esports news. And it's one of my go-to websites.
Yeah, you know, I'm not huge into the optic scene or anything, and but I think there's obviously money to be made in this, right? Because they're selling the brand and all this. Like, they must still be making good cash if like people really want to buy it that much. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, Hector has been a part of Optic for so long, and then when he lost it, everyone was kind of like shocked because he didn't really have any say in Optic being sold to Immortals. So it's just kind of like boom, okay, that's it for Optic. I mean, they have the CDL team. I don't know if they had any other esports teams at the time as of 2019, but hey, they're coming back. Hector's going to bring them back. They're going to be better than they ever were.
dominate
And
every single esport ever made.
I'm excited to see it happen.
Optic merch in the
Speaking of
mail.
which, tournament wise, tournament organizers ESL and DreamHack announced that they're going to merge together to become one ultimate event organizer in esports. Um, they're definitely two of the biggest event organizers, and they announced Wednesday that they will merge together. The new company will be known as ESL Gaming, and ESL and DreamHack have hosted events that include Counter Strike, which is probably one of the most major, StarCraft, Hearthstone, Super Smash Bros., Street Fighter, Rainbow Six Siege, and others. Um, it seems like DreamHack is going to basically be the name of the festival series that span across the EU and North America, but it's going to be operated in joint leadership with ESL. Um, I do have a question on this. Do you think that coronavirus impacted their funding enough that they need to merge these two companies together in order to stay alive? Or do you think it was just purely business? Hey, instead of competing with each other, let's merge our ideas together.
I would assume that they think it's more profitable to just host all the tournaments as one instead of trying to fight over who hosts what. And it's less confusing for
Mm-hmm.
the audience.
Yeah, it's true. Um, I I kind of went down the road of maybe thinking that, I mean, with all this COVID stuff going on, and especially Counter Strike got their majors canceled, it kind of feels like maybe they wanted to take the financial decision to combine or merge with each other instead of fighting at this point, because it did say that they were starting to like join their ideas together and kind of help each other out. It's kind of like the Xfinity Sirius X, or not Xfinity, Sirius Radio and then XM satellite radio when they did the big merge too. It's like, why fight each other when we can just be one
And
entity? You
now
know
it's
what I
just
mean?
called Sirius XM, which sounds way better.
Hell yeah. Um, that was a long time ago when they were just two separate and they were fighting like that. But I'm Sirius XM radio. I mean, hey, you see it everywhere now.
Yeah.
Uh, hey, besides that, we don't really have any more on esports. It was just those two topics. I mean, pretty big topics, but
Yeah,
got through them very quickly.
we'll move on to the streaming news now. We have a couple little things here. They're just both directly Twitch related, but they're both pretty big. So the first thing is there's going to be a new widget for ModView that's going to let mods manage unban requests. So
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's. I think it's gonna be stupid, but it could be if it's done right. It could be well.
Yeah.
I just worry about mods getting harassed. But anyways, how it works is a user gets banned in a chat. I'm not sure if there's a set amount of time that a user has to wait before they can make a unban request. But anyways, they'll type up a request why they want to get unbanned. It'll automatically go to a mod, and then the mods can look at it and decide, do we keep this guy banned or do we unban them? Well, now you'll be able to do that. Before, people used to use Google Docs and all these like forms and stuff that people would fill out and submit on Discord. Now it's just going to be done on the website, so it's a little cleaner that way. So banned users will submit an appeal through the chat column, which a mod then takes action on anonymously. So you don't know which mod has approved or denied your request.
Hmm.
Currently, the feature is desktop only right now, with mobile support coming in, I quote, soon. So we'll see on that. And the other new feature that they have is a soundtrack music tool has been announced. It's currently in beta. There's a waitlist that's open for people to join. And Twitch says, and I quote, stream worry free with our highly curated music library. So we all know how frustrating it is to look and your VODs have been muted, and now there's all these like annoying issues that you're having because you've played 2 seconds of a copyrighted song on stream. Well, now hopefully if you get in on this tool and you use their music, you won't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah. So I wonder if they're going to try to monetize that in any way whatsoever, or it's just going to be, hey, here's our free music, use it as you please, or hey, pay for this license, use our music as you please. Um, Either way, it's good. We want safe music to be able to be played on Twitch without any repercussions. And Soundtrack Music Tool, I saw that. I saw them tweet it out, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm down with that. Um, they even had like a lineup of artists and everything that were already included. So definitely an amazing feature. As for the appeals for being unbanned, that's also a great feature. I do wonder if the mod declines the appeal if that user's like, all right, in another 30 days you can try to appeal again, or if you're just going to be able to reappeal instantly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if there's nothing to prevent spam with it, then it'd be almost like, oh my god, like this is crazy. Like, like
Hmm.
this guy just appealed again and again and again and again. Like, it's like, come on, dude. Like, there needs to be ways to make sure that the person who is banned only gets one request per certain amount of time, and it should be up to the streamer. Like, if I'm like, oh yeah, well, I've said no to this guy's request now. He can't ask again for 6 months, or he can't ask again for 2 weeks. It
That's
should be
probably
up.
how it'll
It should
be.
be up to the streamer. If it's not, and it's like a set amount of time, like a day, that's pretty short amount of time, and hopefully it's done right. Because if it's done right, it'll be a really good feature. But if it's done wrong, it'll be a really bad feature.
Hey, that's it for streaming news. We got some new features coming to Twitch, and I did also notice that um, another new feature coming to Twitch, which isn't listed here, but if you have like trouble with your fonts and stuff, they added like more customization to font size and things like that. So you should be able to read chat easier or make it smaller, however you decide that. Um, Moving on, we got the tech news now. This one's gonna be a little doozy, huh?
Yeah, again, it's more it's more supply shortages with Nvidia stuff. So CEO Jensen Huang has said, uh, you'll probably have to wait until 2021 to get an RTX 3080 or 3090. He expects that the company will have shortages for the 3080 and 3090 to continue for the remainder of the year. The demand will outstrip all of our supply through the year, is what he had said in a quote. And he also had said, even if we knew about all the demand, I don't think it's possible to have ramped up our production that quickly. Nvidia has one more card in their RTX 3000 series it plans to launch this year, the $500 RTX 3070, which performs better than a 2080 Ti. Nvidia
Mm-hmm.
has pushed the release date to October 29th and hopes that the company can work with retailers to get the cards to more customers on its launch day. But if it's anything like the last two launches, probably not. And as well, this is no coincidence that AMD plans to reveal their graphics cards on October 28th. RTX 3070 delayed just a day After that, perhaps a time for Nvidia to lower or increase the cost of the 3070, depending on AMD's competition. And that's pretty short there. I don't think anyone's really too surprised about the supply issues with that. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, we have a pretty interesting article here, a little bit of tech news that we both read today, and get ready for this one, boys. Internet-enabled male chastity cage can be remotely locked by hackers. So not everyone might know what a chastity cage or chastity belt is. Essentially, it's a device that keeps your penis inside of it, and you cannot remove it without either a key or, in this case, without the remote end being either Bluetooth or through their app being able to allow it. So typically, girlfriend, wife, whatever thing a
Whatever you got
person's
going
into,
on.
whatever. No judge. I'm okay with whatever. But anyways, a security flaw in an internet-enabled male chastity device allows hackers to remotely control the gadget and permanently lock in the wearers. Researchers had disclosed this exploit today. The Cellmate chastity cage, built by the Chinese firm Qi
QIUI.
QIUI, lets users hand over access to their genitals to a partner who can lock and unlock the cage remotely using an app. But multiple flaws in the app's design means anyone could remotely lock all devices and prevent users from releasing themselves. So, when I say lock all devices, I don't mean lock Buddy's chastity belt over there. I mean, I have access to the app's API, which wasn't password protected, and now I can lock 10,000 chastity belts at once. This is how severe this is.
That's
E-
insane, dude.
Even worse, the chastity cage does not come with a manual override or a physical key. Locked in users have very few options to break out. One is to cut through the cage's hardened steel shackle. They've used hardened steel. This is the same sort of steel that padlocks will use to prevent simple angle grinders from cutting through them. An operation that would require bolt cutters or advanced angle grinders, and that is made trickier by the fact that the shackle in question is fastened tightly around the wearer's testicles. The other, discovered by pen test partners, is to overload the circuit board that controls the lock's motor with 3 volts of electricity, so around 2 AA batteries worth. So
That could be dangerous.
you could overload the lock's motor, which would in turn open the lock. Not sure how good that. I mean, 3 volts isn't much. You might get a tiny shock if you screw something up, but probably not enough to stop your heart or anything. But that is a hilarious exploit, and just goes to further show how anything connected to the internet can be taken advantage of in some way.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I showed this article to Giga, and he's like, I actually saw that today. I posted that in my Discord earlier, and we're just like, let's
We
throw it on there.
we gotta
It's
have
tech
this.
news. It's tech news, and it's crazy enough that we just need to talk about it.
I'm I personally don't understand why a man would wear this. So the fact that you can't override it yourself, I guess, is part of the kink and the turn on. That, like, once it's on, only my partner can remove this. I guess, but
But even the partner should have a key if something goes on.
yeah, like, there should be a way to take it off without your phone. Like, what if my battery dies? I don't have my charger. Like, oh
Like,
god,
what if my phone gets thrown into a river?
I
Like,
can't. I saw some photos. It's not a tiny device. Like, you could wear it with pants on, sure, but it would likely be noticeable in a pair of jeans.
I don't know, man. I don't know enough about this stuff. I just think it's so funny that this is even a thing. And like you said, it goes to show that if something's internet enabled, it could be manipulated.
Man, like, Like people have hacked into smart fridges and turned them off and ruined all people's food and hacked into your house and turned all your lights off and cranked your
Yep.
heat to max. Like people can hack into anything. If it's on the internet, you can hack it.
So that being said, if your genitals are on the internet, they can be hacked.
Hmm. Should be the title of the video.
Hey, this is all we got though today for episode 5. It's definitely not one of our longer episodes, but we still did talk for quite a while. And hey, I guess we'll see you next week. It was first October episode, spooky season once again. I hope everybody has a great rest of their week. And
Agreed.
hey,
This is the Guest Podcast. I'm Gigabit Gaming, and he's
TommyNaysh.
perfect. Have a great night, everyone.